What's the weirdest request you have ever received from a student?
Because we had some students that bought a play seesaw.
Which students settle in faster, home students or international students? What's the biggest myth students had about university accommodation? So in order to answer this question, we had invited Mr. Damon Shaw. He's the head of commercial at Leeds Trinity University. And let's just hear it from him. Hello everyone, my name is Dr. Ali Hayder. I'm a senior lecturer at digital marketing, and in today's podcast, we'll be talking about the importance of university accommodation for students and how it can help them find job opportunities and more specifically job sponsorship as well later on. Now, in order to answer these questions, how student, when you're coming to the university after getting admission, the first of the most foremost headache you have in mind is how to find the right accommodation, safe one, something which on budget as well. So in order to answer this question, we had invited Mr. Damon Shaw. He's the head of commercial at Leeds Trinity University. And let's just hear it from him. So Mr. Shaw, just tell me first of all a bit about what's your role at Leeds Trinity University.
Oh, my role, I'm head of commercial, but that's a strange title. I'm looking after the key areas of the university other than student fees directly. So it's looking at other income streams, accommodation being the big one. And we have made a real effort to make sure accommodation is affordable. So really benchmarking against other universities, not just in the region, but nationwide, to ensure that we've got best value for money. Members of third-party agreements as well with other providers. Also look after the sports facilities and conferences in the summer period. So we do have things that go on outside of term time. And then there's occasional elements as well.
Okay, that's great. And let's start with the accommodation actually. So the first question I have for you is what's the biggest mistake students make when choosing accommodation?
Cool. The biggest mistake, there's a few. I think it's no difficult situation with people when it's very much the first step people take into entering into a relationship with landlords. It's really about finding somewhere that you get to know other people. I would say that's the biggest benefit of an interest in accommodation, whether it's university accommodation or whether it's a private home, is making sure you're in people that of your own that like you, hopefully enter the same university as you, and build that understanding, because then you can get through things together. Of course, there's stories of landlords that aren't reputable, and you have to be very careful there. And it's understanding the terms and conditions of a contract and what's included and what's not, making sure his bills are included, for example. If they're not, budgeting for it. So making those allowances. So biggest mistake, I think, it may be diving in too early and not necessarily thinking about who you're going to be living with.
So not doing your research properly. And if you have found the right people, let's say with your university or someone like-minded, automatically increases your chances of having a good time, safe in a safe environment.
Absolutely. Of course, given my title and given my job at the university, I'd always advocate to come into university halls first. But I genuinely believe it's the right thing to do. My own daughters have gone to university and they haven't wanted to live at home. When they go to university, they want to go elsewhere and have that whole university life. So I've been very keen that they have gone into university halls. It allows you to transition. If you are only 18, but even if you're moving later on life, if you're moving from another country, whatever it might be, just makes it easy. You've got that support network in. And going to be moving in with people at the same life stage as you, same scenarios, easy to make friends. People are very keen to make friends. Having that student support that you'll have. So within university halls, something you don't get in a private accommodation sector is you will have a student support team. You'll have resident mentors. So if there is an issue in your accommodation, you'll have someone you can talk to, whether it be something such as your shower not working, or it might be something where one of your flatmates is having crisis and they need that level of support. So I'd always say university accommodation, build that areas, and then you've set. After what you do in year one, if you're continuing to year 2, year 3, then that's your choice. One of the things we're very lucky at Leeds Trinity is that we have more bedrooms than we need. We've gone through this process of developing new accommodation and kept some of the old accommodations. We've given us budget options in there. It means we've got more bedrooms than demand from students. Great. So we can offer second and third years and postgrads and any student who wants it, provided it's a single accommodation, single bedroom accommodation, we can offer them rooms.
But no, that's good. And you talked about support, which I'm presuming it's not it's not available in the private accommodation. Generally speaking, if you're living with the private landlord and all with in a house where you have 6 or 7 students living with you, maybe the landlord might not be as much there, for you to sort of things. Whereas if you're living in the university accommodation, you get the support, and of course, as you said, there are mentors as well, but they can help them out for sure. But yeah.
Very much so. I think supports. It's one thing that Leeds Trinity University does very well overall. I think there's a lot of support for students, whether living in accommodation or not. Very strong. When we talk about residents in the university accommodation, we have overnight and student support duty managers. So that's specialists. So we have the security teams as well. So if there's somebody who's had too much to drink or has an accident on the night out, got people who can do that basis. But student support team can offer that extra layer and the support, and really, so it's given that whole picture and that provision. Some private landlords do have something in place. So some of the larger private providers do have their own student support mechanism. They wouldn't be as strong as the universities, but certainly when you get to the smaller houses, when you're talking about in sharing a house of 6 or 7 students, but no, you don't have that.
Isn't something like that. Yeah, exactly. And one thing which I like about it, you said that if someone came, if someone is not behaving in the right way, you have security team as well. And this is very important for international students, especially female who are coming here and their parents as well, because it might be the first time they are sending their kids, their daughters abroad, and they are thinking in terms of safety right away, as you and I do. We both have daughters. So if you are part of the university accommodation, that really helps out. However, then for the sake of argument, one of the issues with university accommodation, a lot of international students especially suggest is that they are quite high on the cost. That you have to pay a lot of money, compared to if you're living with a private landlord, for example, in a house for 4 bedrooms and whatnot. So, what do you think about the budgeting? How much do you think is the difference and between private accommodation and the university, Leeds Trinity University, for example, for it one?
We try to hit a value point. We really have, but we're not. We're less interested in how much money we can get from each student. We're more interested in the value from students. We're looking commercially. We want that they stay on their course. There's retention. They recommend to other people. If we want people to feel that value, we're not trying to get the most out of that individual student. We want them to go back and tell 10 people about it. What a great value it was. In terms of the difference between the private mental sector and the university, very little. Much less than people will realize. One thing we have an agreement with for students that are starting in September 2026. We have an agreement at Cranstock Village, which is city centre accommodation. We wanted to ensure that any students coming to the main city campus could stay together and be in one place. We've negotiated with them, because we're turning now to say we want some students to stay there. They are private provider. We've reduced the price. So whereas other prices are going up, inflation, everything else, we've actually been able to get that price right down to amongst the cheapest in the city, if not out of the bidder providers, but not the cheapest. At the same time, there's investment in those facilities. So yes, you might be paying slightly more than if you went into a small house share, but you're getting social facilities, you're getting a cinema room, you're getting a gym, you're getting a laundress on site, you're getting a big common room, got a kitchen that you can hire. So if you're away from everybody else, if you want, hire free of charge, so you can have your own private party, celebrate your birthday, or your family coming over, and just have somewhere separate. And then there's activities that are on there. Tie them out with the security, the student support, the fact that your bills are included, your Wi-Fi is included. It's fast one.
When everything is working
And everything works, and you've got maintenance teams there, which will be pretty much fix things the same day, and there might be a day after waiting for a part or something that's just difficult to get hold of.
Understand it.
But there's the initial response is almost certainly over the same day.
Okay, no, that's good. And one thing which I realize, as you have talked about it, it just comes into my mind that if you are in a safe environment and you are very close to the university, in university accommodation, you are, and there is always some sort of event, happening within the university in that particular area as well. It increases your networking opportunities as well. So you're talking to each other. Since you are part of the university or living closer to it, you go to university more often as well. And when you're going there, you develop your networks that can actually help you find job opportunities. So have you seen anything like that?
Yes, certainly. I would always sort of say you want to be in the city where your university is. I know there are community students, but I think it is about doing those networking, getting to know people on your course. And it's when someone wants to go, it's not necessarily doing the event in the halls, and it might be that somebody says, let's go out for a meal tonight in Leeds. And if you're commuting in, it's difficult to go, well, I don't know if I want to hang around until 7:30 to go for that meal or those opportunities, because university is about building those social connections. Particularly, I know you're obviously a lecturer in digital media, particularly in the media sector. It's an area, my daughter is doing a media production course.
See.
And I've seen her since she's moved into halls, seen her build those networks up, have that social side. And then when it's come on to projects as well, it's been the case of them, oh, I'll ask those from that flat to help me, or we need somebody to come and act in this piece of running, or just to help us out with some of the sounds. So it's those connections from being in the same town or city. Some from halls, some through not, but it's just, yeah, and you can play this 7:30, 8 meetings on an evening.
Yeah, and I can vouch for that. For example, the podcast we are doing right now, we have a team of people. So in front of, of the camera, you see me, but behind the camera, we have people. And one thing I realize that those people I have, if they are living, the reason why I have those people is because they are living close by a university accommodation. So it's easier for them to come here. And it's not just that they're coming here to help me out. When they come here, they meet with businesses as well. And that increases their chances of job opportunities. And of course, when you're coming here, you're meeting with professors as well. And if you have any questions around these studies, they can actually help you right away. Whereas I have students who are living outside, let's say, of Leeds, sometimes. And it's sometimes I'm asking them, there's this nice conference happening in Leeds, come and join, be part of it. And they can't. And the main reason is that they just live too far away. So yeah, I completely.
And I think sometimes it's factoring in the cost of travel, but also factoring in the reliability of travel.
Exactly.
I mean, thankfully, we're not in London at the moment, but he also called off an underground strike yesterday. But who knows what's going to happen in the next 3 years if you're signing up for a course, or what the weather's going to do. It's building all these factors in.
Yeah. No, I'm going to share my own personal experience. So when I moved here as an international student, almost 14 years ago here, one thing which I had realized, and I started it because in my mind, the budget was the main thing. So I started living in a private accommodation. And Damon, I can't tell you what the kind of bad experience I had. Internet is not working. Security is not there at all. If I have any issues there is no one to call. Sometimes, when I'm doing an online meeting, let's say with my professor, the internet goes down and I'm like, there's something I can do about it, At least with the if you're living in a university accommodation, it's slightly more expensive, but at least you are getting the value out of it. It's not that you're not getting any value out of it. And of course, as we're living there, automatically increases your chances of, getting to know people, finding more opportunities, and then just having a good time with your mates, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's not always necessarily that little bit more expensive either. I think sometimes when you do some of the comparisons, certainly if you compared the accommodation the university offers to other private halls providers, it's significantly cheaper. So you're both sort of house shares, then yes, if you've got real budget, then it might be, but it's add in the cost of your electricity and your gas, your Wi-Fi, all those aspects, it soon builds up.
Okay, let's talk about this. Let's talk about the cost. I don't have to give you the exact cost, but on average, for example, there's a student, international student or national students, they are thinking of coming down to Leeds, for example, or Manchester. What do you think is the average cost of university accommodation here?
Oh, it's changing all the time. It is changing all the time. One of the good things for students coming to Leeds is that Leeds has got an oversupply of student accommodation. Yeah. So, which is a very strange situation. We've seen all the horror stories in the news in the past. The cities, there was money where it's gone the other way around. But Leeds is in an unusual position where there's been a lot of investment in the city, a lot of new accommodation built. There's some very close by that I'm thinking of enough. I won't throw them under the bus at this moment, but there's some accommodations been built at £200 a week plus because they've gone for that top level.
Yeah.
Actually, the reality is students don't want, nobody really wants to pay £200 per week. But
Exactly.
our accommodation within the university starts at £119 per week. And that's en suite. So it's
En-suite means you have because sometimes people don't know the actual meaning of en-suite means you have your own bathroom, right?
yes, yeah,
And a room.
yes, yeah,
And then shared kitchen, I'm presuming.
yeah, and absolutely. Every single room that we offer on through university is en suite. We think that's absolutely critical. So you haven't got way, and I haven't got that. It's embarrassing. I was afraid as you're dressing out to a shared bathroom down the hallway. That's a thing of the past. The university had that, as did every university when back 20 years ago. But now, no, so everything's en suite. I've gone sidetracked with the initial question, but what was the initial question?
Oh, sorry, no, the average cost of accommodation.
Average cost, yeah. So average cost, so it does vary, but it does mean that prices are fluctuating. So it's very difficult to say at a moment, this is the price per week in Leeds. I mean, I know
Is it really fluctuating a lot, or is it just 4 to 5?
it is. And one thing to notice as well is dynamic pricing.
Yes.
It's not something the university do. We set a price, that's the price we're going to stick to. So if you sign up, it's not going to suddenly be £20 per week cheaper the following week. We don't think that's right. No, we're not selling Oasis tickets here. So it's about setting a price that everybody knows and gets a fair deal. We've also got it written into any agreements on external providers, which for September 2026, that's going to mean that if they reduce their prices, then that impacts on the other students as well. So that shouldn't happen and won't happen. It does allow us to sort of set that price there. I almost don't want to give the price because I do. Any competitors that watch this go, oh, so that's what they're charging.
Okay.
And
But just give me something which is already available online.
well, wait, I can tell you ours. Yeah, I can tell you Leeds Trinity prices. Our Leeds Trinity prices. If you're living at the Horsforth campus, the prices start.
Which is the main campus of ours.
Yeah, the main campus, and your horse is £119 per week. That recognises.
Does it include everything? And
that includes everything.
Okay.
Not food, of course, but other aspects. That does recognise it's not in the city centre, and we know this.
That's not that far away anyway. So
No, it's reachable. It's a 14-minute train journey, and there's a shuttle bus that goes to the train station. So probably from leaving Horsforth campus to getting here, if the time the train's right, it's half an hour from the city campus. But we know that people want to live in the city. There is a premium from the city centre because it's access to everything else. Probably the nightlife, the buses, the jobs. There might be there part-time jobs who want to. So the city campus accommodation, we've got a Clarence Dock. The September 2026, that starts at £141.20 per week.
Which is understandable because you're living in the city centre now.
And there are a lot of providers out there. As I say, there's some that are charging £200 per bus. You're looking closer for around the 160, 70, 180 pound mark upwards. And then the smaller houses, those are a little bit out of the city. Then you can be looking at a house. I would estimate around the 130, 140 mark.
Yeah.
But without those facilities.
Yeah. As a father of a daughter, I don't really mind paying, a bit more because if you're living in a private accommodation, I don't know who the landlord is. I had no, idea about what kind of experience students had with that particular person. What's the situation regarding, people who are already living there, the safety concerns. So it makes more sense for me if I have my own daughter, she should be living in a university accommodation close by. So that as a parent, I have a, sense of security in me.
Wherever anyone's watching this who goes to sending their children to other universities or could going themselves elsewhere, there's a couple of things to look for, and that's accreditation codes. So any reputable student accommodation provider, so as institution, will be signed up to the accommodation code of practice. Now that is administered ultimately by the government. That's it's accredited network that will do that. So there's the UUK code, Universities UK. Now that's what university or residents apply by or abide by. And then private providers go for ANAC, again, UK code. That goes through 252 checkpoints in terms of the accommodation to make sure we're covering everything from the absolute essentials such as fire safety, but it goes into things such as mental health and sustainability and security, and the whole gambit. In Leeds, there's the Unipol as well, Unipol accreditation for landlords, and for not second and third, people do decide they want to go into a house share. Unipol is the national student housing charity. They've got offices in Leeds, so we're very fortunate again to have that at our doorstep. It does mean the university work very closely with Unipol for advice and things and changes in legislation and making sure we are that step ahead. But they also accredited local land boards. And so I would say if you come into Leeds, you want to at least be in a uniform convicted landlord. Of course, I would say go for UK or an ANAC code landlord, and you can check that out in terms of looking at the Commercial Code of Practice website.
Yeah. No, that's very good because it's already giving me, as a parent, ease of mind right away that at least, if I'm sending my children to somewhere, at least they are following certain rules, certain codes, and whatnot. That's good. Uh, a lot of time, international students when they come in, so this might be the first time for majority of them that they're coming to the UK for the very first time. Now, how do you think the university accommodation in that particular context can help them settle in? Is there anything you do when I'm in Strawberry?
Yes, there are then specifically for international students. So if we know there's a cohort running at the same time, and actually we'll work very close to the student support team to try and put on a welcome pizza night or something similar to that. Um, in some cases, we'll put people together, but what we don't want to do is just have enclaves where international students only ever meet other international students. We want people to mix. But we do recognise as well for some particular courses that to attract international students, they may start 3 weeks before another course. So if we where it's course, but we'll group by courses rather than in student times to make sure that you're not on your own, you're not isolated. In addition, we also recognise that some students won't want to necessarily have the cost of travelling home at Christmas or Easter breaks or even over the summer, so we can provide accommodation all year long.
Okay, that's another question I wanted to ask you. Because, during Christmas time, for example, or, when they go back, they are not really using the services. I'm presuming they have to pay for it, right? Or how does it work?
Yes, we've our accommodation fees are the same as most landlords. Our accommodation fees are a set fee in respect of how much we're using it. Um, but one thing we have done is not only is what I call our accommodation en suite, everything is self catered. So it's not like we have a food element of there. It's not like you're missing out on the dining being open. You are being missing out. You can't go and grab a coffee from the coffee shop on campus because it will be closed over Christmas weeks. But you can provide for yourself, and you'd be paying by coffee anyway.
Of course, no, you have to. What are the general rules around guest family visit, or watching TV, cooking, shared living spaces?
Oh, there's a few in there. In terms of guests and family, we have rules within our own university halls because it is only single bedroom accommodation. Unfortunately, we'd love to offer family rooms, but that's just something we don't have capacity for. It brings its own challenges there. So unfortunately, we don't have that availability. You can have one person stay with you for 2 nights out of every 7. So you can have stay if you've got a friend who wants to you want to stay.
Okay.
But it is only in the accommodation of the horses campus. It is only single bedroom, so once someone's going to be sleeping on the floor or snugly very tight.
So at least they are allowed.
But so you can do that. We don't at this moment have guest accommodation. At the accommodation for September 2026, we've got at Clarence Dock. They have got small double beds.
Okay. And I think we might have already answered this question, but I'm thinking about PhD students or master and research students because they're a bit mature students. They have families as well. So right now, is there anything the university have for them or any other external providers?
In terms of university, we have recognised that BGC students are typically a little bit older than undergraduate students and at a different life stage. So in terms of you can come by yourself and there's accommodation there, and we have separated it out. So be in a flat with other PGCE students or non-mature students. So not wanting to do any 18-year-old and graduates down, but let's be honest, most 18-year-olds want to party, get to know people in a different way when they first start university. So we do have separate accommodation. In terms of families on that side, no, we don't, unfortunately. We would signpost people to Unipol to see if they can recommend any landlords who might have accommodation.
Yeah.
But there's not a huge number, so we want to be honest there.
No, that's fine. Fair enough. If you could give one piece of advice to students before moving into university accommodation, what would that be?
Before moving in, cool, that's interesting. So we're boarding the sooner they've checked the contracts and
Yeah, so reading the whole contract is very essential.
I guess the main thing is budget.
But
Budget. Now again, with if it's domestic students, I can't speak for international because they're different funding in different countries. For a domestic student, one of the reasons we set our cheapest accommodation as £119 per week was that if you were UK domiciled and were eligible to that funding, it meant your maintenance loan at least covered your rent. You see, whatever your parents' rental position was, so if somebody was getting the minimal maintenance loan, provided they're entitled to it, and there's all sorts of complexities around that it would at least cover the rent element. But it's making sure you budget for food, budget for laundry. That's something I haven't mentioned.
Yeah.
At the whole,
I'm presuming it's not included, right? In the overall.
not normally, but at Horses Camps we have. We recognise this was a real hidden cost to people.
There is actually.
And it also created us some challenges. So we haven't just done it out of the kindness of our hearts, but we brought in to give for our students on the Horses campus with the accommodation we manage directly as a university, £100 of laundry credit included within your rent. So that would allow you typically to do a wash and dry once a fortnight, for argument's sake, which should be enough for one person. We did that as well because what we didn't want, we found a funny situation with students drying lots of clothes in their own rooms where it's really, really wet, and that can lead to issues of mold and build up there, and it's not good for the air. It's not nice there. We also had issues with people washing things in a shower. They're leaving a shower to them whilst they go out. I've had that call on a bank holiday Monday whilst at a shopping centre with my wife to say we've got a flood in a flat because it comes through to the next floor. So yeah, it's so bad, you know. So yeah, back to your 1 point.
Yeah.
Budget. Work through a budget. If you've got it, put your social in there. Allow yourself some social. Do not just come in and work for 7 days a week because you'll burn out. And so build that social in. Build laundry in. Build food in. And then also speak to your flatmates once again. Don't all turn up with a toaster or air fryers. You might better work something between you.
Yeah, exactly. Which is understandable, of course. Okay, so we are done, by the way, with our main questions. And now the second part, which is last part of our session, is rapid fire questions. So basically, the way it works is I'm going to ask you some 10 questions mainly. But the idea is that you don't give me long answers. You just give me short answers and whatever the first thing that comes to your mind. Okay.
Okay.
So are you ready for it?
Okay.
So what's the funniest thing you have seen students bring into accommodation?
Bowling ball.
Really? And yeah, I'm just curious.
They're a king 10-pin bowler. However, did lead to a student instance where they bowled it against the door. Please don't do that, anybody. But definitely.
What's the most common complaint students had in their first week?
Noise. No, noise is usually about other people. So it's how we manage that. And we do. We do speak and we want people to have fun, but within reason, and just be considerate of each other.
Okay, makes sense. Cleanest flat or messiest flat you have seen to now?
Really pleased to see a nice trend towards clean flats now. I don't know if social media is helping us. People liking nice backdrops. And yeah, standards have improved over the last few years. Dirtiest flat, I'm not going to go there.
Isn't that? But I'm presuming Generation Z because I'm linear generation. So I remember, living in accommodations and the way what we have done with accommodations. So if you're telling me it's getting better, so
it's good. It is. We do termly inspections, and I'm really quite impressed by some of the ways the students are living these days. People are taking more care of themselves.
Okay, that's good. What's the one thing students always forget to bring with them?
Bedding.
Bedding.
Now, international students, we do provide some basic bedding for.
Mattresses and
mattresses are provided. A mattress protector is provided, but we wouldn't provide your duvet. Of course, that with international students, it's worth contacting the accommodation office just to check what is being provided for their apartments.
What causes more drama in student flat? Noise or dirty dishes or anything else you think?
Noise tends to be from other flats complaining about the flat next door or above. It can be dirty dishes. It can be things like that. One of the nice things is that both at the Horses Camps went our own accommodation and at Clarence Dock, where those starting in September 2026, both of those have reception areas. So we do get people coming along and just saying, oh, I've got a real issue with this. So before it turns into a crisis, we're able to
There is some, and that is where the support services comes in. They can actually help you out.
to an element. We would normally sort of say, well, can you not just work it out between the cells to avoid? We don't want to. We're not there to please. But yeah, we get those sorts.
Uh, what's the weirdest request you have ever received from a student?
Ooh. I don't know the weirdest request, but the weirdest thing we found, and we had to get this out of the accommodation, is we had some students that had bought a play seesaw. And so they have, oh no, it's a swing. There's a swing set, and they're set that up in their kitchen area. We had nothing on the regulations to say you can't have a swing set. However, under health and safety, you really won't go and allow that.
Student alone. Student, okay. For me, one time I had a student came to me and say, "Are we allowed to bring our own TV?" And I was like, "You are Generation Z. You don't really need a TV anymore." That's really what, and really serious in asking you this question.
We get a lot of TVs. Yeah, a lot of people do cover TVs, mate, and it's quite nice when they go in the area. Of course, you do need a TV license if you're watching live TV.
Oh yeah.
But most people will stream through their laptops.
Uh, which students settle in faster, home students or international students?
Don't think we can generalize. I think it depends on who those connections are. We've had some international students and they've been great and got to know the team really quickly. And we encourage that. It's really quite a friendly team that are in. It's also the post room, so the office and the post room. So it really is a genuine open at the Horsforth campus. So pop in, say hello, get whatever parcel you've got coming through, and then you'll get to know the people very quickly. The resident mentors are great at doing that as well. And the same goes for Crown Stop, where you have the post within their reception area.
That's good. What's the biggest myth students had about university accommodation?
I think it's still a miss compared to when I went to university. I mean, when I went to university, student accommodation is not what it is now. I think a lot of people are surprised that our rooms were en suite, so we've all got a bathroom. And even with our budget accommodation, one myth. That is party central. It's not. It can be if you want it to be, but it's not party central anymore. So sorry to disappoint those that do want it.
That's a follow-up question actually here. So there is no, you don't have to worry about because a lot of parents, that's the last thing they want, is to, parties happening because in their minds, a lot of things can go wrong in those pages.
Yeah, it's
So
not.
do you allow that or what happened?
You allow within reason.
Within
Be
reason.
within reason. It's being mindful on people in the accommodation, and that includes within your own flat. It's not just necessarily your neighbours. You might live in a flat with 6 other people, and one person might not want that every night, and it's having sort of a little bit of regulation.
But there is someone, like watching them.
We've got-
for sake of parents, I'm asking.
Yeah, we've got security on site, and we've got our resident mentors to support on that. So when it goes above and beyond, and we leave it to, and if it's absolutely terrible, if you're in a flat with 5 people you don't get on with, then room moves are an option.
Of course, yeah. What's one small habit that makes students enjoy accommodation more?
This would go against all the health and safety. If you're in the room, if you're in the room, there's nothing wrong with it. Prop your door open when you first move in. On the first day, you prop that door open and make it, rather than just going in, closing it, and then unpacking yourself. Be amazed at how many people pop in and say hello and pleased actually someone else that seems to be engaging. Don't leave your door propped open when you leave, though, because that's a hazard.
No, I can imagine that. In one sentence, what makes us a great student living experience?
For Leeds Trinity, it's the support. Support, safety, and friendliness, and the fact that it's on either a campus or a campus-like environment in you're talking the city and within the Crown Stop Village.
Okay. And my last question to you is, if students who are watching this right now, if they're thinking about Leeds Trinity University and they want university accommodation, what is the best way for them to reach you or your team?
Very simply through the website. So anybody, once they've chosen Leeds Trinity University as their firm choice, and they're definitely coming, should get an email through. It's taken through to a portal where they can book and choose their own room and their own accommodation. It's not just a preference and you hope to get it. You actually can go through. So if you've got somebody else that's looking at the same time, you can both book a room in the same flat if you wish. But in terms of the information, so the portal, the general website, And there's an email address, which is simply accommodation@leedstrinity.ac.uk.
Okay, that's great. Now, I know, correct me if I'm wrong, but you take, during open days, you take students to the accommodations, you show them everything, live.
Absolutely. So yeah, if you've got a chance to come to an open day, please do, and then there are tours. You know what you're buying then.
Okay, that's good. And any last words, like any message you want to give to students who are thinking about accommodation within Leeds University or generally in Leeds, Manchester area? What would you say, tell them?
Last words. You're gonna enjoy it.
Mm.
You're gonna enjoy it. It's daunting at first, but you're not gonna be in a safer environment to get to know people and get that head start at the university and moving tools.
Okay, that's good. Thank you so much, Damon, for being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we add one question, like what are the other facilities, like rooms and apart from the sports activity area and gym? So that's there in Clarence Dock where I live.
Okay.
So it's the college accommodation.
Okay.
So if you can ask that question and
Is that all right? Yeah.
yeah, so that one question in addition, so that we can keep that before the rapid fire question
Oh.
to link it.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
So, Damon, you talked about accommodation, but I'm just curious, beside accommodation, what other facilities students have within that premises?
So have a horses campus. We've got a sports centre, got Trinity Fitness, which is a commercial gym that's open to the local public and there's a big membership, and outdoor sports facilities. So all the access to 3G pitch, grass pitches, tennis courts, etc.
Do I have to pay if I'm a student there, or how much on
It's-
average? Or is discounted?
It's the student rate. Student rate. I can't remember off the top. No, yeah, but it's
With gym, I know there's a discount there for sure. If it's
absolutely there's discounted prices there.
Yeah.
At Clarence Dock, you have got a cinema room. You've got the private kitchen. They are talking about an outdoor sports facilities being developed, but I'm waiting for confirmation about this moment in time. But also, you're right next door to the new dock, which is a very nice part of Leeds. And so you've got all the facilities in that area. So you've got a large Tesco's Express, and it is a large Tesco's Express. You've got bars, restaurants, and you've even got the Royal Army's Museum on your doorstep.
And what about the accommodation in the city campus? How far away it is from the university? So
It's about a 20-minute walk. I think that's
not bad. You can save on buses and everything.
absolutely, and it's a nice walk along by close to the river and through into the city.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.